The Hugh Jackman Diaries.
Got invited to some French film festival. Well, I say invited, some might say showed up uninvited. Much of a muchness if you ask me. What happened was I was at home, minding my own business, calling random numbers and telling people that I was the star of X-Men Origins Wolverine and they weren't, when I felt like doing something a little more sociable. So I went down the park and threw pine cones at pigeons. Got tired of that, so I got a mobile phone out of some school bag that may or may not have belonged to the girl carrying it. When she couldn't satisfactorily answer the question, seriously, why don't you just give it to me for 1 minute, come on, she let me make a local call. I called Stephen Dennis, asked if he wanted to meet me down the park and to pick up a couple of shopping trolleys along the way to throw down the creek. All I could hear on the other end were police sirens, Stephen screaming obscenities, and some copper's voice telling him to stop struggling. I said, "Okay mate, sounds like you're already having a blast, I'll leave you to it." I called Kevin Bartlett. I said, "KB, there are 2 toilet cubicles here. Let's each take a crap in one and then not flush. Come on, man, this is important." He said he was busy sitting in a car outside his ex's flat, listening to a mixtape he never got around to giving her. Fair enough. There was only one person left to call. I dialed. He answered. The smooth Mangles tones unmistakable. "Alby, it's me," I said. "You want to shove things down toilets with me? I'm desperate." He said, "I've got a better idea. Look up." I looked up. There was a Cessna circling overhead, about 15 metres overhead. "Alby, you son of a gun, where'd you get a plane like that?" "Borrowed it," he said, laughing. "From who?" "I don't know," he said. "The owner, I guess." We both laughed. He touched down. The schoolgirl asked for her phone back. I said, "What phone?" and threw it in the bushes, then high-fived Alby and got in the Cessna. "Where are we going?" I asked. "How the hell should I know?" he said. His eyes were that shade of red that made it clear that he was in control. He screamed something I couldn't make out and then fought off some kind of invisible spider. What a guy. We flew for a few days, landed in some French place. It was called France or something. They were having some kind of film festival about a can. You gotta be kidding me. You want to see a film about a can, then speak to me. First film I ever starred in was called Can. It was a student film. It had me piffing cans at cows in a paddock. It went for 30 minutes and was shot in real time. And without my knowledge. So there we were, Can. Me and Alby found a bottle O and grabbed a bottle of chartreuse each. Abused the shop dude for not stocking burger rings, then went for a wander. There were film hacks everywhere. I saw Harrison Ford amongst the crowd. I jumped onto Alby's shoulders and shouted, "Oi, Ford, Ford. No offence, but I'm a Holden man myself." Alby pissed himself laughing and toppled over. I went with him and landed on Meryl Streep. I said, "Sorry Mez, didn't see you there. In fact, I didn't see you anywhere because I don't see poor us films. Get a blockbuster up here." Alby couldn't breathe, he was laughing so much. It was good to see him enjoying himself again. Truth be told, he'd never been the same since that dog of his died. He was a good dog too. I remember hanging out with him. Animals can teach you so much. He taught me the joys of running after cars, something I continue to do to this day. They were such carefree times. For me, the day he died marked the end of the 60s. Sure, it was 1984, but I've never been one for details. We spotted a red carpet out the front of some big-ass theatre, paparazzi and B-graders everywhere. Alby challenged me to a race up the red carpet and through the doors of the theatre. I said, "You're on." We started running. In no time we'd bolted through security and onto the carpet. Alby was the first through the doors, but only because I took a detour to tackle Quentin Tarantino and then take a pretend specky over the glamorous Helen Mirren. Although she sure as hell wasn't too glamorous as she gingerly picked herself up off the turf. Came off second best in that contest, I tell you what. I then had to stop and get on my knees and lick up the chartreuse I'd spilled, taking the Mirren specky. I didn't want to draw any negative attention, so every 10 seconds or so, I'd lift my head up and treat people to a few bars of a number from The Boy from Oz, then lower my head again to continue sucking up chartreuse from the carpet. When I ran into the theatre, Alby was standing on the edge of some big water feature, about to dive in. That's Alby for you, always adventure bound. "Alby, no," I shouted, "not without these." Then I pulled out of my backpack a couple of surf mats. We inflated them, then jumped in. We had a blast, the 2 of us, adventurer Alby Mangles and me, all singing, all dancing, Hugh Jackman, on surf mats, in a water feature, in a foyer, in the middle of the biggest film festival in the world. There wasn't anyone in that foyer that wasn't looking at us with envy. That's what having the X Factor is all about. I noticed Michael C. Hall in the crowd. I wouldn't let him get away with it. I stood up in the water feature and shouted, "Oi, Dexter, get a film career or piss off, you bloody TV actor." He kept walking. Behind me, Alby was making waves by rocking up and down on his surf mat. I stood up on the edge of the water feature, shouted, "Look everyone, I'm a giant squid," then took a swig from Alby's chartreuse and leapt majestically through the air. I landed on Alby. We made a big splash, something I'm used to doing. This film festival was alright. Then again, how could it not be, with kick-ass dudes like Alby Mangles, and me, the one and only, Hugh Jackman.
The Hugh Jackman Diaries.